My name is Emma. I am 28 years old. I work as a teacher. I always thought I knew everything about my family, but I was wrong. My mother, Rebecca, and my father, David, loved me very much. I had a happy childhood. We laughed together. We ate dinner together every night. I never questioned anything. I never doubted their love. Then one day, everything changed. It was a cold Tuesday morning. My father called me at work. His voice was shaking. He said, "Emma, your mother collapsed. The ambulance is taking her to the hospital." I drove as fast as I could. My hands were trembling. When I reached the hospital, my father was in the waiting room. His face was pale. The doctor came out with sad eyes. She said softly, "I'm very sorry. We did everything we could. She's gone." My world stopped. My mother was only 56 years old. The funeral passed like a bad dream. After it ended, my father went to stay with his brother. He said, "This house is too hard." I understood. I stayed behind to clean the house and sort through my mother's things. It was painful. Every room had her memory. Then I went to her bedroom. I opened her closet. On the top shelf, I saw an old wooden box. It was covered in dust. I had never seen this box before. I pulled it down and sat on the bed. My heart was beating fast. I opened it slowly. Inside were old photographs, letters, and a brown envelope. The envelope had my name written on it in my mother's handwriting. "For Emma, when the time is right." My hands started shaking. I opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a letter and legal papers. I read the papers first. They were adoption papers. My adoption papers. I felt like someone had hit me in the chest. I could not breathe. The papers said I was adopted when I was 3 days old. My birth mother's name was written there. Birth mother, Grace Thompson, age 17. I read it again and again. This could not be real. Then I read my mother's letter. My hands were shaking so much I could barely hold the paper. The letter said, "My dearest Emma, if you are reading this, I am no longer with you. I'm so sorry. Your father and I wanted to tell you the truth many times, but we were scared that you would not see us as your real parents anymore. You came to us when you were only 3 days old, a tiny, beautiful baby. The moment I held you, I knew you were mine, not because I gave birth to you, but because my heart chose you. Your birth mother, Grace, was very young. She loved you, but she could not take care of you. She wanted you to have a better life. Please do not be angry with us, Emma. We loved you from the first moment. You are our daughter. Nothing will ever change that." Tears were streaming down my face. I sat on that bed for hours. I cried. I felt angry. I felt confused. My whole life felt like a lie. When my father came back, I was waiting at the door. I held the adoption papers in my hand. He saw them. His face went white. He said quietly, "You found them." I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" He sat down slowly. He said, "We were afraid you would stop loving us, afraid you would think we were not your real family." I said, "I deserved to know the truth, Dad." He nodded with tears in his eyes. "You're right. I'm so sorry, Emma." I could not stop thinking about my birth mother. I wanted to find her. I needed to know who she was. I hired a private investigator. 3 weeks later, he called. I found her, Grace Thompson. She lives in Lakewood. The next Saturday, I drove there. I was so nervous. I found her house. It was small, with flowers in the garden. I knocked on the door. A woman opened the door. She was in her mid-40s. She had brown hair like mine and the same green eyes. She looked at me. Her face went pale. She whispered, "Emma?" I was shocked. I said, "How? How do you know my name?" She started crying. She said, "I've been waiting for this day for 28 years." We sat in her small living room. She made tea with shaking hands. Then she told me her story. She said, "I was only 17 when I got pregnant. I was still in school. Your father left when he found out. My parents were very angry. They said I brought shame to the family." She continued, "I wanted to keep you. I really did. But I had no money, no job, no help. I was living in a shelter. The social worker said you deserved a better life, a family who could give you everything." Tears were running down her face. She said, "The day I gave you to the adoption agency was the hardest day of my life. I held you for only 1 hour. I memorized your face, your tiny hands. Then I had to let you go." She looked at me. She said, "I never forgot you, Emma, not for one single day. I kept a photo of you from the hospital. I wondered about you all the time. Were you happy? Did you have a good family? Did you hate me?" I did not know what to say. I felt so many emotions: anger, sadness, confusion. I asked, "Why didn't you try to find me?" She said, "I signed closed adoption papers. I wasn't allowed to contact you. And I thought maybe you were happier not knowing. Maybe it was better this way." We talked for 3 hours. She told me about her life. After I was born, she finished school. She got a job. She never got married. She never had other children. She said, "You were my only child, and I gave you away." When I left her house that day, I felt even more confused. I had 2 mothers now, one who raised me, one who gave birth to me. I went home. My father was waiting. He asked, "Did you find her?" I nodded. I told him everything. He listened quietly. Then he said, "Emma, your mother, Rebecca, she loved you more than anything in this world. She worried every day that you would find out and leave us, but she never regretted adopting you. You were her greatest joy." He continued, "I know you're confused. I know you're angry. But please remember this. Family is not only about blood. It's about love. We chose you, Emma, and you made our lives complete." Tears came to my eyes. I realized something important. Yes, Grace gave birth to me, but Rebecca and David raised me. They loved me. They were there for every moment of my life. Grace gave me life, but my parents gave me a home. Over the next few months, I met Grace a few more times. We talked. We shared stories. Slowly, I understood her choice. She was young. She was scared. She did what she thought was best for me. And she was right. My parents gave me a beautiful life. One day, I brought my father to meet Grace. It was awkward at first, but then Grace said to him, "Thank you. Thank you for loving my daughter. Thank you for giving her the life I couldn't give." My father smiled. He said, "She is our daughter, and we are grateful every day." Now I have 2 families. Grace is part of my life now, not as my mother, but as someone important, someone who gave me a chance. And my father will always be my dad. Nothing will ever change that. I learned something from this. Family is not about blood, it's about love. It's about who stays, who cares, who never gives up on you. My mother, Rebecca, kept this secret because she loved me. She was afraid of losing me, but she could never lose me. Because I am her daughter, I will always be her daughter. Thank you for listening to this story. If you liked it, please like the video, share it, and subscribe to Story Reading in English channel. Your support helps more stories reach people like you. With every story, our English gets better and our hearts get stronger.